And college students move into area universities. We'll hear from students and parents on move-in day. Also, a Carthage resident is on her way to Tokyo for the Olympics. We'll get a look at the special send-off.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thousands of Afghan citizens rush to get out of the country as the Taliban takes control of Kabul. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Zach Dodge. A spokesperson for the U.S. Central Commander in charge of the evacuation in Kabul says the general met face-to-face with the Taliban today to warn them not to interfere with American evacuation efforts. Roxana Sabera reports from Kabul, where there's a chaotic and dangerous scene at the airport.
The desperation is undeniable as Afghans fleeing the Taliban scramble to climb onto a C-17, taking off from Kabul airport. This video appears to show those who couldn't hang on. More chaos on the ground as gunfire rang out. But the U.S. is deploying 1,000 more troops to the airport as Washington scrambles to evacuate Americans from Afghanistan. No one, including us, expected the Taliban to reach Kabul yesterday so fast. In the past few days, the Taliban have taken city after city and they've approached on the capital, and now with news that they are here, we are heading to the airport. But with scenes like this and unable to get on a flight, we decided to stay. Taliban fighters soon declared an end to the war from the comfort of the presidential palace, just hours after strolling into Kabul, just 11 days after launching an offensive, overwhelming U.S.-trained Afghan forces in cities across Afghanistan. 8-year-old Sharifeh told us she wasn't afraid when she lost her leg in a Taliban attack on her village 4 months ago.
Does anything scare you?
Not being allowed back to school, she said, adding she dreams of becoming a doctor. Pashtana Durrani was helping educate girls in Kandahar until the Taliban seized the southern city last week, and she went into hiding. What do you think would happen to you if the Taliban find you now?
I don't want to just assume, oh, they're going to come and murder me, right? But I would really like for them to accept for a fact that we are just the same people from the same country, right? I just have different views when it comes to girls' education.
The Taliban have pledged not to harm civilians and to respect women's rights under Sharia law. We met a little girl who wants to be a doctor one day. What do you think her future will look like?
I'm afraid about all those girls, including the girl that wants to be a doctor, because for that you have to go to a school. And can she go to school in this regime? Can she? I'm not sure.
Roxana Saberi, CBS News, Kabul.
President Biden will return to the White House today with plans to address the nation on the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. And now Michael Hayslip joins us with what's coming up.
Zach, I tell you what, earlier this morning, I was really tempted. I was getting ready to adjust the 7-day forecast. I had it there sitting at 88.
Right.
And that's pretty seasonable for this time of year, because if we take a look at our daily almanac right now, we should be around 90 degrees. But we had that cloud cover. And that cloud cover was just lingering right there. I'm like, I'm a little bit worried here. Where's it going to go? And there we sit at the noon hour. At one point in time, it almost felt overcast, and now beautiful blue sky. And not only that, we do not have the haze like we had about a week and a half ago, obscuring or filtering the sun from the West Coast wildfires. And that's why really in probably about, say the last 30 to 45 minutes, we have vaulted up from the mid-70s all the way up to the mid-80s. We stand at 84 right now in Joplin and Carthage. Miami and Grove have pushed all the way up to 86. Down south is where we'll see our warmest temperatures today. Fort Scott and Nevada sitting right at 81, and we're able to do so without having to worry about oppressive humidity. Right now, Joplin only sitting at 48%. We will take that. So bye-bye cloud cover. We got a little bit hanging on there on the far edges of southwest Missouri, and that's part of a storm system in southeast Kansas, the cloud cover is, that ranged all the way down across the Oklahoma state line. And while it was impressive in nature, it played absolutely no role in our morning weather. We kind of lucked out as that thing just ducked down through the panhandles of the Sooner State and into Texas. We got a couple more degrees to go. We're going to go high 80s today. I didn't change that 7-day forecast. We're going to keep it right at 88. Coming up here in just a little bit, Zach, we'll talk about our chances for afternoon precipitation. And we've got two other things that we need to dive into. That is Tropical Storm Fred just about to make landfall on the Florida Panhandle, and look at what's behind it. Atlantic is starting to get messy. We'll also check out what's Tropical Depression Grace.
All right, sounds good. Looking forward to that breakdown, Michael. Thanks. President, sorry. Give me just a second here. A Sunday night head-on collision leaves an Ottawa County man dead. It happened at around 11 p.m. Sunday night on Highway 69A near County Road East 16 near Quapaw. 43-year-old Miami resident Isner Maid was killed after his vehicle was struck head-on by a 17-year-old from Baxter Springs. The 17-year-old was taken to Freeman and Joplin, then flown to Cox South in Springfield in critical condition. The OSBI offers a $10,000 reward for anyone who can give them information to help solve a 47-year-old cold case. In 1974, Tina Mae Duffel was found dead in Prairie Dog Pond, a half-mile northwest of Quapaw, Oklahoma. Investigators believe Duffel was either abducted or had left with someone from the C&D grocery store in Quapaw, where she was working at the time of her murder. The autopsy revealed she had stab wounds to her neck. Anyone with information is asked to contact the OSBI. The FDA says roughly 7 million U.S. adults who are immunocompromised can get a third dose of the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine. Larry Bergner at the Newton County Health Department expects more guidance from the state early this week on the full requirements and a more comprehensive list of conditions that would make residents eligible. The Joplin School Board meets in a special session to approve a reentry plan for the upcoming school year. Friday night, the board discussed the plan and, after discussion, decided to accept it with some modifications. The first of which, masks for students and staff, will be voluntary at all district buildings. Additionally, students and staff who are identified as a close contact and required to quarantine may remain in or immediately return to school provided they wear a mask while in the district buildings and exhibit no COVID symptoms. After 10 days, that person will not have to wear a mask, or if they provide negative test results within 5 days, they can stop wearing a mask at that time. Local swimmer Haven Shepard had a big weekend before she headed to Tokyo for the Paralympics. She was given a formal send-off on Saturday that included a parade at the Carthage Square, as well as a surprise send-off by her team at the Joplin Regional Airport. The Carthage resident earned her spot on the USA swim team and says she's ready to start this adventure and is proud to have such a supportive community. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, the 4 states just got a little bigger, at least population-wise, as 2 of our largest schools go through move-in day. And later, a 4-state community rekindles a previous tradition to flood the streets with fun. Students at Pittsburgh State University spend the weekend moving in ahead of the upcoming semester. Student volunteers say this year's move-in was more normal than last year's because it was the first year they were able to help out again. One volunteer offered advice for any new students or incoming freshmen at Pitt State.
I would say my biggest piece of advice would be surround yourself with the people that you want to be. Don't conform to anything. Place yourself in an environment that you like and that you're comfortable with.
Students at Pitt State start classes today. The Missouri Southern State University campus was also busy over the weekend as students returned from their summer break. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to students and parents to find out how they feel about campus coronavirus safety.
There was no shortage of students and parents unpacking and saying their goodbyes for Move-In Day 2021 at MSSU. But with the Delta variant raging throughout the country and the four-state area, last year's campus pandemic restrictions were back as well. But the students who spoke to KOAM seemed to be taking it in stride.
I think we're doing the same safety measures we did last year to ensure that we don't have a big COVID spread, especially in the housing department. I think we're taking the right precautions. And of course it helps that there's also vaccines, but also with the Delta variant, who knows? So going back to the mask idea, it's a good idea.
A big difference this school year is that COVID-19 vaccines are available, and many vaccinated students say that helps them focus on school instead of worrying about the pandemic.
Honestly, I feel it takes us a little bit of a load off because granted there is a small chance I could still get it, but I feel a little bit more safer knowing that I'd have at least a fighting chance and a better chance of not getting it.
And it's not just students whose minds are at ease thanks to the vaccine. Parents who spoke to KOAM say the shot is making it a lot easier to say goodbye to their kids.
I don't have any concerns about it. Like I say, we've been vaccinated.
But it's not just the vaccinated who are feeling safe moving into campus. Churchill Williams V, who admits he hasn't been vaccinated but is thinking about it, says he feels protected on campus because of how seriously his fellow students are taking the pandemic.
People don't really just be so crowded up together, because they already know the pandemic is going on, so they're pretty aware to not be so close to others. So everybody's been doing a good job being safe and wearing their mask and, just playing everything cool.
In Joplin, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
Students who moved in had one of four options. They could show proof of vaccination, prove a negative COVID test within the last 72 hours, proof of fully recovering from COVID-19 within the last 90 days, or they could get tested during check-in and then quarantine. Still to come on KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
If you love Elvis, then you're not going to want to miss the very special guest that's joining us right here in the test kitchen today.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
We've reached that delineation point in the calendar where instead of our average high being 91, which it usually is through the entire month of July, beginning of August, now today 90. Now, it doesn't make a big deal or anything like that, but gives you an idea that, hey, now we're trending in the right direction. And sure enough, look at our August average high, right on par. 89.5 degrees as we take a live look over a little shaded 7th and Range line. Those clouds actually came back, helped out a little bit. 84 degrees, but with a nice low humidity, not a whole lot of difference. Our temperatures ranging right now from 81 in Pittsburgh to 86 in Miami. 84 in Carthage, but with the low humidity and that wind, even though it is coming in from the south, it's just there at 5 to 10 miles per hour. We're not seeing a whole lot of difference in our heat index readings. Got a couple 87s up there, but much more tolerable than, of course, a week and a half ago when we were sitting at triple digits when it got to the noon hour. Little light cloud cover, going to come and go, just kind of hang around, but haven't had to worry about any precipitation. But on the bottom right-hand portion of your screen, this is where it's getting nasty. Tropical Storm Fred. It is going to make landfall later this afternoon / early evening right on the panhandle of Texas. And just to give you an idea, that is the same exact route that Hurricane Michael took in 2018, albeit Michael was a Category 5. Fred going to stay as a tropical storm, but still that same area. That's less than 3 years ago is when it was devastated by a Category 5 hurricane, and they're about to have to do the same thing all over again. As we see how this moves through the southeastern portion of the United States, watches and warnings abound. Everything from flood warnings up there in the turquoise and a whole bunch of tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings as well. Now, on the backside of that, there's another tropical depression that could become a tropical storm. It's Grace. And the big thing about it, I'm going to remove the satellite coverage here. And the reason being, I want to show you how close it is to Haiti right now. We're talking about an earthquake-devastated Haiti over the weekend. And so now they're going to have to put up with flooding and mudslides as we progress to the middle of the week. Severe thunderstorm risk map. It cuts us out for today as our temperatures will range up into the high 80s. And any rain that we do see will be later this afternoon and evening. You see it pop, come and go. Very isolated for the most part, nothing organized. We certainly don't have to worry about anything severe. And we'll kind of rinse and repeat on Tuesday. Zach, Wednesday is going to be our most mild day of the week, 85 degrees, but we'll spread out the rain a little bit. And then coming off of that, we're going to go into our hottest day of the week. I think Thursday down to the south, we'll have to throw up some low 90s.
Right. but I'm liking the way that we're not in the mid 90s with indices in the 100 degrees.
Overnight lows, how about low 70s?
That sounds good.
Good indicator.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much, Michael. We take this time now to honor today's four-state hero. Staff Sergeant Dustin Arnold was a member of the United States Army in 2004 and 2005. He served in Bosnia and Iraq. His hometown, Sheldon, Missouri. We're proud to salute Dustin Arnold, a four-state hero. Howard's baking up peanut butter and banana French toast, which sounds great, in the Mr. Food Test kitchen.
It's hard to believe that it's been more than 40 years since Elvis left us. But fortunately, he left us with many great memories and songs to remember him by. And to pay tribute to him, I've invited my good friend Terry Buchwald to join us here in the Test Kitchen. He's devoted his entire career to keeping the music and legend of Elvis alive. Welcome, Terry.
Good to see you, Howard. Thank you. So glad to be here, especially on a day that many of us will never forget.
I've seen your shows, and when you're on stage, it's like watching Elvis throughout the years.
Thank you. That's my goal, to portray this legendary rock and roll artist through my performances.
And our goal is to keep Elvis's love for Southern food alive, like with the recipe we're making today.
Well, if it has peanut butter and bananas and bacon, Elvis would have loved it.
As a matter of fact, this all-in-one breakfast bake has all three of them.
One forkful, and you'll be all sugar.
To get the recipe for our peanut butter and banana French toast bake, along with some information on where you can see Terry perform, all you have to do is visit our website. Terry, thank you for joining us and keeping the legend of Elvis alive. Would you mind singing a little something for us?
Sure. Are you lonesome? Oh, wait. Are you hungry tonight?
Ooh, it's so good.
Now here's a look at the four-state market. A tradition that dates back to the 80s and then stopped sometime in the 90s is alive and well again in Humboldt, Kansas. The Humboldt Water Wars is something the city put on decades ago but stopped. However, 2 years ago, it was resurrected by Boulder Humboldt, an organization aimed at improving the community. It was put on hold last year due to COVID, but made a splashing return, as you can see, this year.
It's just nostalgia, and we have all this revitalization coming back. We're just ready to celebrate with our town and everybody from the region, and it's just outdoor play.
Kunkler says they're looking forward to making the event bigger and wetter in the years to come. And it looks like we could use some of that Water Wars as we go on into the day today.
Awesome event out there in Humboldt. I'm so glad that they were able to revive that. And I tell you what, it is warm out there, Zach. You are right about that. But at least we don't have a whole bunch of 90s staring us in the face. As a matter of fact, we're going to be able to ride high 80s for most of the week. Really, next shot for some legitimate rainfall is going to be Wednesday afternoon and evening.
Thanks, Michael. Now Dow joins us with what's coming up at 5.
Yeah, as the Delta variant sweeps across our country, we're taking a closer look at breakthrough cases, people who get COVID after receiving a vaccine. Health officials say it's extremely rare for a breakthrough case to lead to hospitalization or death. But we're going to hear from the mother of a vaccinated woman who died from the virus last month. Plus, following a need for nurses and doctors in the four-state area, Ottawa County works to support a local college medical program, and renovations at the Jasper County Courthouse will wrap up. We're going to get a look at updates to modernize the inside while keeping the history of the exterior intact. Those stories and more at 5.
Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.